G'day and welcome back to my hobby room. Yeah, check out the new t-shirt. Yes, Airfix is rather big, isn't it? Yes, they had to make it big just to fill on my frame because I'm chunking it up a bit, yes. That doesn't matter. What matters is the hobby, Now, I'm very worried. I think the baby boomers and Gen X are buggering it all up for everyone else. I think we have ruined it. What am I on about? Well, I've been looking at some figures online. I mean, you've got to dig for them, but you can find figures on sale volumes and basically statistics for different countries and types of models being bought and sold. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. There's a problem, and we should all be worried. You want to find out more? All right, hang around. Here we go. Roll the music. So, am I just fear-mongering? Am I just trying to get clickbait? Well, a little bit. But no, there is some truth in this. And there are statistics. Yeah, statistics. Now, this one's interesting, okay? So have a look at this one with me, all right? This is from Wise Guys, all right? Sounds like a mafia group, but it isn't. No, these are guys, a whole bunch of statistics, and there's lots of these people that will actually give you the full statistics on sales online. You only get a smattering, and you got to kind of decipher it a bit. They don't give you all the information because, one guy quoted $4,900 for me to get a full report. YouTube doesn't pay me that in monetization in a year. I don't love you guys that much. I really don't. No. All right, here we go. So there's figures here from 2018 to 2032. Now, obviously, 2032 is extrapolation. The only real figures are from 2018 to 2024, and they're missing. Right, if you have a look closely, it goes 18, 19, there's 20, 21, 22. So obviously during the Great Plague, they've omitted that because that figure would be anomalous. But then they pick it up in 23. But if you do find the full graph, there's actually a bit of a kick up during the plague. We're all at home, right? Nothing to do, twiddling our thumbs, playing with a little Johnny, right? Extracting a little bit of pleasure. And of course, a lot of people took up the hobby. They did. There was, wanted something to do with their hands. And so there it was. And there was a little jump. But look, on average, they say we're rising around 3% a year in sales amount. Not volume, right? Not the number of kits, in how much gets spent. How many of your dollars are going into new kits? So this doesn't count second-hand kits and the private swap tote. No, this is just brand new kits. So, that's what is going to keep the hobby alive, is the sale of new kits and the manufacturers putting out new stuff. Now, all right, so the figures are there, and yeah, it's $3 billion turnover a year now, and it's going up by 3% a year. But here's the rub. That is only the amount of money. That is not the number of kits being sold. So if you hark back to just after the plague, how much you're paying for model kit, and have a look at it now, because everything has gone up, I reckon they've gone up 10%. Right? Check your own numbers. Let me know if your figures are different. But here in Australia, we're paying about 10% more for the kits. There's sort of everyone's cost has gone up, right? As transport costs have gone up, everything's gone up. I'll talk about the plague and what happened then, but everything's gone up 10%. And if you're only getting 3% a year increase, even though it's compounding, that's just over 9 and a nat, right? Because 3% of 3%, if you're compounding, is a nat stick. It's tiny. So really, we're either breaking even, like there's more money, but there's only the same number of kits being sold, or it's probably a little bit less. In fact, I would hesitate to guess the number of kits being sold is going down. And the reason why is you bastards are asking for more complex and more detailed kits, and it's ruining it. Let me talk about that. Okay, so, bold statement, yes. But let me back it up with some facts, and we'll have a look at some more statistics, right? Here's another one. Blow this up full screen while I put on my extra strong spectacles. Right. This is the breakdown of the kinds of kits, and I was quite surprised. Automobiles, they take up a little over a third of the market. Military vehicles, so that'll be armour, right? Armour is just around a quarter of the market, okay? And then aircraft was a tiny amount. It's probably 1/3, 2/5, not even that. It's quite small. Ships, a little over 10%, and then under 10% is everything else. Now, That's surprising. I thought aircraft would have been the biggest one, but obviously with the cars, this includes like the radio control stuff. So possibly the numbers and the figures they're doing includes those kind of plastic kits, because they do come as kits and you build them up, I suppose. It's hard to say. A lot of stuff that I found, it was plastics, and, it included everything that had been injection molded. So including, a little tool for making the missus happy. That got included. So, we don't build those. No. Well, I don't. Do you? No, I don't think it's a model kit out. Anyhow, so according to these figures, they're mainly talking about cars and then armour, a percentage of aircraft, bugger all ships, and bugger all as far as trains and sci-fi and probably even, miniatures as well, which is surprising because I would have thought the miniature market would have been bigger. All right, we've got another set of figures here to look at, so we could also try and get some sense out of this. This is the distribution around the world. Now, this was very surprising. So have a look at this with me. Okay, if we have a look at this graph, well, this is quite surprising. Everyone says the whole thing's driven by China and the Asian market. Not necessarily so. Not according to these figures for 2024, okay? They have got a 2032 extrapolation there. That's a bullshit figure. Don't even look at it, right? That's the dark blue. Let's look at the light blue. Now, the North American market, which is not just USA, right? That's Mexico, USA, Canada, whole of North America, right from the equator up, whatever countries are in there. You're only accounting for 0.75 of a billion, which is 1/4 of the market. So, Yanks and the Kanks and all the rest of it, you guys are about 1/4 of the market. It's a sizable amount, admittedly, but I would have thought it'd be bigger. Now, Asia, right, so that's actually China, Japan, Korea, all the way through, and Indonesia, which I thought would have been a huge market. It's only a tiny bit more. It's probably only 0.8 billion, right? According to this graph, if their figures are sort of the numbers record. They don't show the numbers. I've had to actually do a little measurement here and get out my slide rule and do a Poindexter thing and come up with a figure. But the most interesting one is Europe, right? Europe is huge. Look at it. So the growth there is in Europe. Who'd have thought? All right, I know there's lots of numbers and there's a lot of you eyes glazing over because it's mass, but let's just sort of put a proportion, okay? The American market is 1/6. 1/6. The Asia Pacific market, which does include Australia, is a little over 1/6. All right, so together they're just over 1/3 of the market. Half the market, even just more than half the market, is Europe. The rest is just tiny little bits from basically from South America and Africa countries. Nobody cares around there. Well, they probably do, and they may be building the second-hand kits. This is what these figures don't show. They only show the new sales. So just keep that in mind. So as far as new sales go, more than half of the new sales in the world are coming from Europe, right? And then a little under 1/6 and then a little over 1/6 in the America, North, and Asia Pacific, including Australia, all right? And then the piddling little bits from the rest. So Europe is the driving force. Now, traditionally, the kits came from Europe originally. Revell, originally from Europe. Airfix in Europe. All those other brands, which, Italeri, okay. Hella, right? Italeri's in Italy, right? Hella's in France, okay. And there were Spanish makes, Occidental and that sort of thing, right? They traditionally all came from there. The Americas, you've got Revell from America. You had a lot of specialised sort of smaller companies in America, and then Monogram got to a fair size and, got absorbed by Revell in America, okay. So this is kind of the makeup. All right, what can we put together from all these figures, and why am I saying you're ruining the hobby? Let's discuss that. Now, before anybody goes ballistic in the comments, because I know you Tamiya fanboys will do that, I didn't mention Tamiya as a kit maker. Well, no, I didn't mention Hasegawa, Fujimi, Trumpeter, Meng, Dragon. Why? Because they're in Asia, okay? I'm talking about Europe, and this is the influence. Sure, there's lots of stuff coming from those other places. But this is the thing, and it's called fragmentation. And this is what's happening to the market. The market is getting very fragmented. The manufacturers are all trying to compete against each other and getting fragmented. But the sales is all we're talking about here. And we're not talking about individual units, we're talking about money. So what money is being poured into our hobby? And the money will keep our hobby going, okay? I feel like I'm wiggle here. All right? What do wiggles do? Goodness me. There's a lot of gesticulation on this channel. Yes, got to find something to do with my hands. I really do. Really have to find something to do with my hands. Now, European people are buying the most amount of kits. That's a number. That's a statistic. That's a fact. Or is it? European people are spending the most amount. Again, these figures are only money. And as I've already sort of indicated, trying to extrapolate and very early on, this isn't numbers. In fact, I think numbers are going down. Why? Because we're buying more and more expensive kits. Why? Because the baby boomers and the Gen X are going, I want an interior. I want rivets the right size. I want panel lines like this. Why can't every tit be like Tamiya? So even the likes of Airfix have gone berserk and doing full interiors and all the rest of it, okay? And everyone else is jumping in it. I know people like Edward for years have produced really fine kits or even taken other people's kits, like they've taken Airfix and Academy and Italeri kits, and then they've added on their, their brass and sort of stuff, right? To basically add value to make those kits better. In later years, they've produced their own kits, which are absolutely fabulous. But actually, Edward isn't a huge player. There is a list of the huge players, but I don't sort of agree with it. I don't know. They don't give you numbers. They just say, all of these guys, look at these guys. These are the major players. They don't show the percentages. The graph that's accompanying it is just equal. And it even says graph not to scale. So there's no real figures I can find. Maybe you can find it on actual percentage sales from the different manufacturers. See if you can figure out which is the biggest one. Tamiya probably outsells in a lot of ways because they're popular. They're easy kits and they have the name. But then again, a lot of the Chinese stuff, and especially Korean stuff like Academy, their price points are much better. So I'd like to know what's selling. What are people buying? Now, in these reports, they talk about two major markets. Because remember, these reports are for people who want to sell things in the market. So it's giving them information as to what to do, where the trends are, where the money is, what's going on. And they're, of course, saying, oh, there's more money, there's more money. And they don't say volume, they just say money. So sure, there's more money, but only because the price point's going up. So it's, actually, it's probably flat or actual volume is decreasing, which means the hobby is dying. Now, they target the expert and they target the beginner. And interestingly, nobody talks about the intermediate modeler. But they don't want to shell out the big bucks for these new expensive kits with all the stuff in. Like myself with that recent bloody Airfix kit. I didn't want all that interior. And the kit was pretty expensive. I mean, that was double what I used to pay for something like that. Far back as I can. Last time I bought a brand new sort of Airfix biplane kind of kit. Anyhow, the thing is, I think those in the middle, modelers like myself that had experience, baby boomers, ex people, right? I'm not going to buy all the new stuff, very rarely, because it's too expensive and I don't need all that detail. I want a good quality kit. And there's tons and tons of second-hand good quality kits because we bought big stashes, right? I'm guilty and I'm selling mine off all the time, right? I'm selling it off. I've already sold about 200 kits in the last couple of years. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So this is the thing. Stashes got really big. We hit a period, the baby boomers and even Gen X, where we had money, we had more time, we bought all the treats and the toys that we couldn't afford when we were kids, and they've just piled up, and now we're realising we can sell them. So the second-hand market is getting huge. In fact, you can look on Scalemates. I have before looked at figures there. Scalemates is a bit, you're going to take it with a pinch of salt because remember, it's only the people on there. It's sort of a narrow sample count and away you go. But they talk about 1.5 billion bloody kits, or maybe it's only a million kits, and, in people's stashes. And yet they're only building a tiny percentage of that. 150,000 are being built. This is the thing. We've all got these huge stashes, all people like myself, Gen X, right? But okay, let's talk about the young kids that want to get into the hobby, right? And that's what we want. We want young blood. We've got to get those people into the hobby if it's going to continue after us. Shuffle off, become no more, become ex-modelers. We will cease to be. We will be no more. We will go to that great workbench in the sky. But anyhow, enough of that. So to get them in, you need kits that are relatively easy and are at a good price point. Now, a lot of people go, oh, buy Tamiya. Well, Tamiya's getting bloody expensive, okay? Sure, old Tamiya, there's that period, and then Becca goes on about this thing, there's a period of old Tamiya kits from the 80s, which are a good price now, and they're reasonably easy to build, well, they're pretty easy to build, and they're reasonably well detailed, they're great. But that's not the new market. That's not going to make the industry continue. If people are only buying second-hand kits, then all the new kits dry up. The manufacturers all go bust. That's the thing. If you want this hobby to continue, then you need new kits. And as much as I'm not buying new kits, Gen X isn't buying new kits, and if the entry level are not new kits, then the new guys aren't buying new kits. FX has tried to address this in a little way. They have their starter kits, okay? And they're sort of quick fit, click together, all this shit, just to get you kind of interested and sort of whet your appetite. But they don't have the next level, and that's what I think is missing. So let me have a little summation of all this and tell you how I think we can keep this going. Because I think we're at a pivot point where the whole thing's just going to collapse. And I don't want that. So if the new kit market starts to collapse because, people aren't buying them, they're buying second-hand kits, the kids aren't buying them. The only people that are buying the new kits are the experts and the people that are, my generation older that wanted all the detail, and they're dying off. So your demographic is dying. Your demographic, your whole target market is decreasing for these complicated, over-bloody, fabulated kits. That's absurd. And if you're not catering for just after the very, click together Bandai or click together Airfix, I don't know if Revel or anyone else does anything like that. I don't think Tamiya does at all. Then they're going to go second hand. And that's fine. That'll perpetuate for a while. But even I know it's getting harder and harder to find those old Airfix kits now. Those lovely ones that I really enjoy. They're nice and easy to build. They haven't got a huge part count, but the detail's fine. And, well, for me, the nostalgia, okay? But that thing, they'll disappear. Those Tamiya kits we talked about that are really nice and easy to build, they'll disappear. All right, the solution to the problem? Find that middle market. That's where it's going to get sustained. Remember, everything's a bell curve. So the bottom end of the little bell curve is the kids coming in. They're only just trickling in with the little starter kits. But then you've got to keep them engaged. The other end of the bell curve is all the experts and all the people who want bloody everything, fine. But that's not the chunk. That is not the big booby part, right? It's like a big breast. Big booby part in the middle, that is who you have to cater for. Not the experts who want heaps and heaps of parts, right? Not so much the kids who want something really simple and easy to get into. So what do the people in the middle want? Well, they want a good value kit. Like, it's got to be affordable. It must have a reasonable amount of detail. It must be reasonably scale accurate. It does not need all that interior. It does not need 600 options. It does not need enough decals to cover the face of the earth. Have you seen some of these kits now? They got decals for everything, 16 versions, and all these little, what are they called? Tiny little stencils. Who gives a rat's ass? I've never put a stencil on in my life. So what they need are affordable kits, right? Good price, basically a good price range. Reasonably detailed, good enough that you're not shamed to look at it, right? Well moulded, that just comes. They must be well moulded, right? So they fit together reasonably well, no one can complain, right? And at least a variety of things. No, everything can't be a Spitfire or a Mustang or another bloody Tiger tank. A variety. One of the statistics that they had in these research reports was that things are driven by the TV and entertainment industry and, lo and behold, the bloody influencers, right? And they looked at makeup and how makeup has completely changed. The whole cosmetic market has completely changed because of what influencers do. Now, this is the thing. The manufacturers, you need to get behind. FX, you listening? You need to get behind the influencers. You need to listen to what we're saying because we represent a big, big, big segment of the market that are basically potentially going to buy your kits. If you want the new kits, you need to please, right, the influencers, who then share their pleasure with the market. So this is what you got to do. Send me free kits, send me free kits, send me free. I don't need them. But I'm just saying, this is the thing. And they know that's how you get out to the modern market. You get out through social media. That's it. Now, there is another factor as well, and they kind of skimmed on it, but I think it is important for the future. And this is probably going to come more and more in the next 5 to 10 years. 3D printing. Now, I'm not talking about 3D printing completely replacing plastic injection kits. Not at all. Remember how photo etchers grew and grew and grew and grew, and then they become all the little resin things you could add and all the rest of it, okay? There's now a huge fragmentation, again, of people doing niche 3D stuff. I do it. I produce all these tools for the ships, right? Now, this niche marketing stuff is going to continue. if I was a manufacturer, I would get smart and I would contact these people that are doing this niche sort of production and offer them something. Make them an offer they can't refuse. Yes, no dead horses, please. And add that to their line. Like, offer a base kit. Then offer that same kit with a full interior and everything. And then get those nerds, like myself, who've got a 3D printer and 3D, who have designed whole interiors and everything, get them to do all the work. Cost effective. Sling them a few shekels. Everybody wins. You only got to design the main thing, right? The main kit, which is that, again, the boob of the market. And you let the market, the demographics, find out what they want and then produce that little product, and then you integrate it into your product. Now, I might just be yelling at the clouds and a bit of wishful thinking, but I think there is a method to that. The model could be worked out, right? This is a model as in a business model, not a plastic model, but the plastic models could be worked out. So, manufacturers, if you're listening, if you hung in there, start contacting people that are making extras and bits and pieces and what have you, and integrate those into your models as an advanced version. So sell a good version. It's not a basic, it's a good kit, but it doesn't have all the bloody stuff that we're not interested in. And then the advanced model, which that top end of the curve wants, and still make your basic kits. Problem solved. Harry Houdini has totally solved modelling. There you go. At least we had a happy ending, so that's good. Look, buttons. I mean, if you made it to the end, and even if you don't agree with what I've said, hit one of these buttons, make a comment, do something, like, share it with someone else, start a forum somewhere about it. That quite often happens with my videos. I find there's whole forums arguing and debating it, and that's a good thing. I'd like to see people think about the hobby and discuss it more, and it can only do the best for all of us. That's the thing. The more we sit back and we're passive and we just buy second-hand kits, the hobby will die. But hopefully, if you use Harry Houdini's patented, brilliant idea, yes, contact me. It's $5,000 for a marketing plan. We will survive. All right, that's all I've got to say. It's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini. Yes, I know. Brilliant idea, isn't it? Yeah, bloody people will listen to me. Yeah, I can save the world.